2 to the 3 to the 4. Limelight police knocking at my door. 12 black boots on my bedroom floor. What they want with our school, I'm not sure. Took me to the station, 8:30.
Oh my gosh, bro, yeah? I'm Charlie Brooker, yeah? You're watching Screenwipe, a program all about TV and that. Blood, I can hear them sirens coming.
You know, despite being 36, I like to think I'm still in touch with my youth. And then every so often I'll accidentally tune into a load of kiddie adverts on TV and it's like waking up in a foreign country, in space.
Be like a fairy.
Half this stuff is alien technology. Look, singing wings, painty string, shoes that breathe.
The shoe that breathes.
What next? Knee biscuits? And some of them are just rude.
Excuse us. Good kitty. You potty
Barbie's pussy's dripping wet. Fortunately, there are some aspects of youth TV I do understand, like the success of the High School Musical TV movies.
Now, as an embittered cynic, I should be almost programmed to vomit all over the screen at the mere sight of this.
But instead, I find it strangely moving.
You see, as I stare into their happy, smiling faces filled with naive joie de vivre, I know they're just blissfully unaware of the crushing despair that awaits them as they venture further into adulthood, the myriad disappointments, the yawning chasms of pain, the slow, gnawing descent into physical decay, the sheer unrelenting horror of it all.
Summertime is finally.
Why can't it just be like that forever? High School Musical 2 is complete fantasy, of course, but it seems there are some teenagers who really do want life to be that perfect, and MTV is only too pleased to rub them in our faces.
At first glance, My Super Sweet 16 appears to be a sugary bit of reality drizzle about some irritating American brats.
But the more you watch it, the more you realise it's actually a stone-hearted expose of everything that's wrong with our faltering so-called civilization.
Each episode follows an unbelievably spoilt, rich and tiny sod as they prepare to throw a despicably opulent coming-of-age party for themselves and their squealing shitcake friends.
Are you guys excited for this?
We're gonna party!
Yes, they're the sort of dribbling, unpardonable cretins who use the word party as a verb, and when I'm in charge and establish my Reich, those people are going to be punished. As will anyone who breaks wind for comic effect, men who wear flat caps, people who consider the Comic Sans typeface acceptable, and Capricorns. Don't know why I'm picking on them actually, I think I'm just drunk with power. Anyway, back to Sweet 16, and in this episode we meet 14-year-old Audrey, who wants her bash to be just so, reflecting her varied interests. Which should be easy because she's only got two interests. Number one, gaudy, awful designer label bullshit, and number two, herself.
I love being the center of attention and everything has to be focused on me.
For some mad reason, Audrey's every ridiculous whim is indulged by her mother, which is tricky because she isn't easily satisfied.
I don't like this one.
What's wrong with that one?
It's poofy, it's ugly, it looks tacky. I'm not gonna wear it!
For instance, here, her mum buys her a brand new $67,000 Lexus.
Happy birthday! That's yours.
But Audrey's unhappy because she didn't want it till the day of the party.
I can't believe she's such an idiot. She just ruined the whole party. Everything. She just ruined everything. I say you ruined my life. I hate you. We're leaving. The party's off.
Actually, I think this might be an Al-Qaeda recruitment film. Fortunately for whining snotface, the party itself goes with a bang. She enters looking every inch the cosseted flesh waste she is, and her and her nauseating idiot scumbag friends celebrate into the night, dancing, shrieking, acting like pillocks, and generally making you feel like getting down on your knees and praying for a nuclear holocaust. The weird thing is, that's exactly how the programme wants you to feel. It's even more efficient at creating instant hate figures than Big Brother, and that's saying something. And yet, just like BB, willing victims are queuing up to be featured on the show. Look, they love this shit.
Love you, Audrey.
In summary, our world is doomed.
Now his poet and shambles, Tim Key. Can I answer now, someone?
My name is my name is Tim Key, and I'm more sort of poet, and I'm sort of I do poetry, and that's all. It's still part of Screenwipe, which is Charlie Brooker's thing. So this one is about Deal or No Deal, which is Channel 4, and it's the Edmonds, Neil Evans. You've probably seen it, the boxes. Rowan looked at the banker's offer. It was £20,000 and 200, or £20,200. What a sum! Well, he could visit Selina, his eldest, with that, and have money left over to purchase a horse for his surgeon. He looked at Noel. No deal, he said. This poem also tackles greed. Mike, Connor and Yolanda then all revealed hefty red sums in their boxes, and Rowan was screwed. He went home with a £5. Barely enough to cover his tearful phone call to his child. Poor old Rowan. It's also, I didn't mention it, but he's also very fat.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which is a pity, because this week the National Association of Beholders wrote to tell me that I've got a face like a rucksack full of dented bells. But balls to them, I am beautiful no matter what you say. Your words can't bring me down. And besides, in my own mind, I'm as pretty as literally any model you care to mention, apart from any of these.
America's Next Top Model is a reality show overseen by media renaissance woman Tyra Banks. In it, a selection of chirruping skeletons are whittled down, in as much as skeletons can be whittled down, until one of them reigns supreme. During the whittling process, the competitive love dolls take part in a variety of tasks at the behest of various fashion industry giants, such as Johnny Alpha lookalike Jay Manuel, the bloke from Lazy Town, and the incredible Benny Ninja. Benny's there to teach the girls the art of dignified posing, I think. The girls' first task involves making a controversial political statement through the medium of fashion photography.
Keep in mind, fashion is a really political world where we all have different kinds of political views. We have anti-fur, pro-war, anti-war.
Pro-vitamin shampoo, anti-frizz shampoo, it's a very broad church.
I'm going to assign each and every one of you a different political view, and it's important for you to sell it, even if you do not agree with it. Sarah, you believe in life in prison. Jasleen, you believe in the death penalty.
Once their viewpoints have been dished out like novelty badges, a poncy British photographer arrives to turn these ideologies into a startling photographic reality.
A task some find more difficult than others.
My theme today is anti-fur. Like, I hate fur. Actually, I really do like fur. I mean, it makes you look hot.
I think Kathleen was very confused by the whole anti-fur kind of concept. She also didn't embrace that it was a political view.
Perhaps the most difficult political view is assigned to swan-neck blonde JL, who has to oppose abortion in her photo shoot despite being pro-choice herself.
Have some emotion and really believe it for that split moment. Really give it to me.
To provide balance, there's a pro-choice photo shoot too, which is subtly conveyed by stripping Natasha down to her knickknacks and daubing the words "my choice" on her stomach.
Think about the message as well. Don't make it too kind of like all about modelling.
Yeah, pull a face like state-sanctioned infanticide or something. Anyway, the issues keep coming. Gay marriage, straight marriage, veganism, and pro-meat.
I would rather see you kind of tearing apart a chicken. It would feel more editorial than picking up the hamburger.
Once the photo shoot's over, the girls get some leisure time, leaving them free to get on with the important business of squealing like f***ing imbeciles at the drop of a hat. Watching this show is like having a knitting needle rammed repeatedly in your ear.
You own LA!
But sexier. But the downtime doesn't last long, because soon the fruits of their labours have to be judged by a panel consisting of Tyra, Twiggy, Twatnose, and this bloke. If you've ever wondered what the offspring might look like if Frank Bruno had f***ed E.T., there you go. Once judging commences, the gloves come off and the girls get bollocked for not accurately depicting the issues with their faces.
If you look at your face, it's pretty, it's attractive, but that is not, I'm stopping women from taking unborn babies out of this room.
No, this is.
It's a very pretty picture, but I don't know whether it's, again, strong enough to put over the message.
Yeah, maybe if she was eating it, like,
I get the message. She loves meat. It's good.
Yeah.
See, Twiggy gets it now. Everyone's learning something. Kathleen's even worked out her position on fur.
If the animal's alive, you shouldn't kill it to make a fur coat or anything. But if it's already dead, then you could take the skin off.
Anyway, if you think the political challenge was weird, trust me, it's nothing. Later in the series, which has already aired in America, the girls take part in a taste-free extravaganza that beggars belief to the moon and back.
Sometimes you need to learn how to bring a little life to a dead pose. So the shoot is, you girls are all gonna be crime scene victims. Make that right hand look a little more kind of broken. There you go.
You know, I think good old Ethereal J is a bit of a broken limb fetishist.
I love it because her ankle looks broken.
Dion took a little while to warm up, and she really didn't take much initiative to improvise.
Be more dead, go on. That's it, rock for me, baby. Unfortunately, JL finds the task a tad upsetting because one of her friends had recently died.
What are you thinking about, JL?
My friend overdosed a week ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Not sure if that was the right way to go. I'll tell you why. You got into a place that is really, really heavy, and it allowed you not to focus on what you were doing. In the end, I think her shot was okay, but it was clear that she was not focusing on the shoot at all.
Oh, the selfish, grieving cow.
As before, the judges pore over the snaps, oohing and ahhing like necrophiliacs at a bus crash.
Absolutely beautiful.
I love the broken down leg.
Me too.
It's absolute genius.
Oh, yeah, I'd give her one before the police arrived.
It's a great picture.
The look in your face is just extraordinary. I mean,
That's
very
great.
beautiful and dead.
It's the first photograph I've seen of you where you actually look like a fashion model.
Specifically, Sharon Tate.
That's what I was going for.
It may be glossy and airheaded, but ultimately America's Next Stick Insect is more bizarre psychodrama than reality show. And amongst all the tantrums and tears, there's a real message here, something we can all take away from it. And it's this, that people in fashion are idiots.
You know, when you think about it, TV as a mass medium, it's a bit like spaghetti bolognese.
Yes, because everyone likes spaghetti bolognese. It's got truly universal appeal and it's something the whole family can enjoy. But recently there's a group of people who haven't been joining in such great numbers because they're too busy snacking on other things and they've ruined their appetites for the bolognese, which is television.
Yes, young people are very much the bolognese deniers of the TV world, and that's a problem. TV networks want the young because the carefree youth of today are the hopelessly imprisoned older viewers of tomorrow. Plus, they're universally feckless and stupid, so advertisers love them. But with video games, mobiles and the internet eating into their youth's leisure time, they're tuning in less often. TV wants these young viewers back. Problem is, TV's largely run by people in their 30s and over who can only dimly remember what it's like to be young. Consequently, when it tries to court youth, telly often ends up looking as ridiculous as I do now. You get me?
There's all manner of offerings aimed at today's whippersnappers, everything from raucous celebrations of idiocy, such as Channel 4's Whatever, to the genuinely funny insult throwdowns on MTV's Yo Mama.
I seen your mama on the World's Strongest Man competition pulling a fire truck with her teeth. Your mom is my cleaning lady.
Some of these shows succeed and some don't. Teen angst drama Skins is one that has. But is this what young people really want? Conventional wisdom has it that young people are idiots with short attention spans who don't enjoy serious topics and want to see other young people on TV. But is that true? To find out, we invited a group of bona fide young folk to watch some stuff, and because they've got such short attention spans, hold up a card indicating when they're bored.
Channel 4 decided to cut out the middleman and hand control directly to the viewer.
12 young people were selected from around the country and given a
Shedload of money to make absolutely anything they wanted. Welcome to Whatever. James.
I couldn't live without pussy and my mum. Don't put them two things together because I'll slap you.
I'm most proud that I've got big boobs and when I take my bra off, they don't move.
Coming up on tonight's Whatever.
Fanny parts.
And what happens when you
introduce a porn star to your parents?
This
show is gonna be fucking ill. And you know what? This TV shit is a piece of piss. Look at this.
Is this how you'd like to see sort of your generation being? I mean, I know they're slightly older than you.
As they were coming in, they like looked like complete sap.
They're exaggerating it. It's too fake. You can tell they've just learnt some lines and they're just like talking nonsense, trying to make it look like that's how we are.
It was just a bit, pointless.
I mean, do you find this insulting?
Yeah, I just think like they've made this programme. They can talk about whatever they want, and they're choosing to talk about prostitutes.
There's it's a bit shallow behind it.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Oh, I expected them to enjoy that. Well, never mind. The shallow young sods are bound to love Audrey.
Yeah, that's good right there.
The theme of my party is haute couture. I love fashion and name brands.
If I ruled the world, the sky's the limit.
Betsy Johnson, 7, Chanel.
Gotta love it.
I think it's just really sad to see how important material things are to some people.
I've seen it before. It's like for their 16th, a girl got like a Jeep or something, and I was 16. I couldn't even drive. I can't even drive, let alone have a car by then.
So why watch it if it's...
It works. It's obviously a good idea because so many people do want to put themselves through the torture of watching My Super Sweet 16.
OK, well, I'm quite relieved that none of you seem to like any of the people in it because I watch it and I wish death upon them. Perhaps it's time to try out a wild card, The Power of Nightmares, a sobering documentary about the politics of fear. I imagine this will bore them.
Increasingly, politicians are seen simply as managers of public life. But now, they have discovered a new role that restores their power and authority. Instead of delivering dreams, politicians now promise to protect us from nightmares.
Now that surprised me because it actually took the longest out of everything we've shown so far for people to put the board signs up.
I thought it was quite good. I think if you want like students and teenagers to end up being intelligent people, you've got to show them this kind of thing rather than whatever. TV tends to mould people and, shove down ideas. If you show them informative programmes, ultimately they're going to be interested in subjects.
How many out of you would have, if I hadn't stopped it, would have watched that through? So just about half of you would have watched that. I'm very interested that a documentary is our highest scoring show so far, because I always thought all young people were idiots. That was unexpected. Less surprisingly, they all turn out to be big fans of Channel 4's feisty teen drama Skins.
You dirty little fucker! I never want to see your tiny twatty cock ever again!
What's up, Nibs? Oh, hey, come on, Shell.
I was waiting for you to tell me! Time's up, you wanker!
So why is this such a big hit?
It's like a guilty kind of pleasure.
Guilty pleasure?
Yeah, it's just the problems that they do.
It's so well written, though.
Yeah, it is well written and it's dramatised overly, but that's gonna happen. It's just the way that they deal with different problems because there's that girl who's got the eating disorder in it, I think.
It's kind of like a fairy tale because they're all of the girls in it are really, really beautiful.
Yeah, she was a pig. Another interesting thing, about half its audience is over 35. Now, why do you think they're watching it?
So paedophiles?
Ha ha ha, those young people are hilarious. And presumably, they like to see young presenters on TV.
I actually can't stand some of the younger ones, like Fern Cotton. I really can't stand her.
Yeah,
she really annoys me. A bit over the top.
Like Alex Zane as well, people like that. That voice.
Oh, well, they probably hate old, boring programmes, yeah? If you were in charge of a TV network and you could put anything on, what would you put on?
Inspector Morse.
Inspector Morse.
2 Ronnies.
2 Ronnies?
Ronnie Barker was a legend.
I used to like that.
Absolute legend.
Father Ted.
What happened to Blackadder? Why can nobody write comedy like Blackadder anymore?
You need more Rowan Atkinson.
Or Black Books. Black Books was incredible.
You lot are weird! Except they're not weird and they're not young people, they're just people. And they're as ill-served by gormless idiocy as anyone. They just want decent programmes. Although, if you ask me, rather than sitting around moaning about telly, they should be doing national service or working down a salt mine, the fetus-faced lucky young shits.
Now he is comic actor Matt Berry talking about music and that on TV.
I've always kind of viewed the title sequences and title theme tunes within programmes as being particularly important. There seems to be this sort of trend at the moment to just have literally the title of the show and not have any music at all, which I don't understand. They are great things to basically set the tone of the show that you're about to see. A great example of something not working in any way at all, probably Hollyoaks, which is ugly in all ways kind of possible on a positive side, at least they've made a title sequence. And it's, you know, and it's more than 3 seconds long. So that brings me around to whom I really want to talk about, and that's Ronnie Hazelhurst. If you watched any comedy throughout the 70s and the 80s, you'll be more than familiar with his theme tunes. I've always adored his work, to be honest. In my opinion, he sets a perfect tone for each programme, you know, that he's been asked to work on. What Ronnie managed to do was create catchy, melodic themes that are impossible to forget. Things like some others do have them, like 2 recorders. But, you know, you just can, you know, sort of whistle that, you know, forever. Are You Being Served is like a really good example. He was given so little cash that he couldn't afford to pay a percussionist. So what he did was get a tape loop of a till register opening and shutting, and he did that before Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, which is pretty impressive. The Last of the Summer Wine, what Ronnie's done there is an old trick where he's incorporated the show title into the melody. So what's going on there is you're watching the show, listening to the melody, but subconsciously saying the name of the title of the show while you're watching it. In my opinion, not only was he a fantastic composer, but he was also a brilliant arranger. There's something like Butterflies, which is a Dolly Parton song. But if you hear the Dolly Parton version, then you hear the Ronnie Hazelhurst. There's a massive difference, and it's almost sad. Love is like a butterfly. I just love, you know, sort of listening to that one. And things like Only Fools and Horses, which nobody thinks of him, because everyone knows that it was written and sung by the actual writer, John Sullivan, who sounds like Rodney when he sings it, for some weird reason. Of all Ronnie's work, I would say my favourite piece is Sorry, and again, the visuals work perfectly with the music. What I love about the Sorry title sequence is that what you're seeing is fairly simple animated neon signs which move in time with the music. It just works perfectly. I could watch those all day long.
Now we've got a cartoon from them sick boys at fatpie.com, innit?
We've got an update. Phase 2, conversation, association, integrated, advert. Sounds awfully complicated. It just means after the conversation, use your RCB box to determine your advert. Don't forget to link arms.
Looked out on me, but I tell you what, I've still got a lipsticks. Oh, for fuck's sake. Stumble over to Sheridan's Cosmetics for lippy blusher. I'm fucking sick of doing them. You got time for that?
Don't worry about it. If it's not Patrick Swayze, it's nothing, mate. Oh, that's not good news. I remember the days when people lived for my ideas. Next up is what I call an aeroplane.
Yeah, I've got one, it's crap.
It's a flying vessel. Fly that one by us again, pal. For carrying people.
It's a bit plain, isn't it? But carry on, pal, carry on.
To new land.
Why, they just made them?
Have them removed.
Look at all them lemons. Are they all for me?
We're down to a skeleton staff now, Wes.
Cheers, Wes. Forget about that tenner, eh?
As time went on, Lazy Lemon's creations fell into decline and he lost control of his empire.
Attention, committee. I present this week's creation, the bin back. Finally bringing together two of the most important elements in our world.
For all this talk about ageism in telly, it's refreshing to see BBC Two bucking the trend by wheeling out a major new drama serial starring a 500-year-old man called Henry. The Tudors is a glossy, sexually charged historical epic very much in the mould of Rome. It stars Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as a young Henry VIII in his pre-beard, pre-mead-gut days, supported by a cast of familiar faces, namely Sam Neill as wormy Cardinal Wolsey and Jeremy Northam as God-fearing Thomas More. The series opened with Sean Pertwee having his successful voiceover career cruelly cut short by some knife-wielding French bastards. See, and this annoys King Henry so much, he decides it's cause for war! And then, before the opening titles have even finished, he nips off for a quick post-declaration of war shag. And then he kisses some boobs, and then he gets talked out of the war, and then he has a post being talked out of a declaration of war shag.
You get the picture. Despite being married to a Spanish MILF, Henry's a bad lad with an eye for the ladies.
In fact, he's a bit like a rock star. He does all the usual rock star cliches. He shags groupies, trashes hotel rooms, gets blowjobs from groupies, hangs out with other rock stars, namely Chris Martin, Daniel Bedingfield, and bloody hell, Avril Lavigne's let herself go. Okay, that wasn't really Daniel Bedingfield, it's Edward Stafford, the Duke of Buckingham, or the Duke of Buckingham, as he'd call himself.
His father seized the crown on the battlefield, and no real claim to it, only for a bastard on his mother's side. Grace's family is more ancient. I'm a direct descendant of Edward II. This is my crown, and this is my court, not his crown or his court.
That bloody Henry VIII. Oh.
It's treason, Your Grace.
No, it's not. It's reason. Reason I hate Henry VIII. Anyway, the Duke of Bedingfield is pretty luckless and dim. He loses jousting tournaments, dresses like Mr. T several hundred years before it's fashionable, and can't walk into a room without catching some cocky Hollyoaks type knocking one off his daughter.
What's this? Brandon. That's what it looks like. You violated my daughter.
That's correct for 20 points. And your next question, Lord Buckingham, is what was he violating her with? Anyway, perhaps the unluckiest moment of Daniel's life comes when he's found guilty of treason and sentenced to death by height reduction. The Tudors is all very well made, but it's not without some glaring flaws. Some have questioned the historical accuracy of the series. I'm so completely ignorant about history that doesn't bother me, although I am pretty sure they didn't have desk fans back in ye olden times. The first and most noticeable problem is the sheer amount of sex, which is actually quite distracting. There's bare flesh all over the place, countless sex acts, and even hardcore close-ups of ring-kissing action. Apparently it tastes a bit like licking a battery. Added to that, some of the captions are incredibly patronising, and much of the self-consciously clever political dialogue is outrageously clunky.
As a humanist, I have an abhorrence of war.
In places, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers looks so much like Malcolm McDowell, the whole thing feels like a medieval Clockwork Orange spin-off. What's more, this Henry's just not convincing as a head of state. Even when he's doing politics, you're not convinced he actually understands a word of what's being said.
The treaty also envisages the creation of pan-European institutions.
What's a treaty?
It's the application of humanist principles to international affairs.
That reminds me of something I did the other day.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Great stuff, baby. Okay, what I want you to do is kind of pull a face like the application of humanist principles to international affairs. Okay. Awesome, that like totally sums it up. Now we're gonna do fascism, okay?
Anyway, Henry is the main problem with the show. He's just not likeable or interesting enough to warrant your attention. Partly because he's so young, partly because he seems to be wearing hair gel, partly because he spends much of his screen time being showered with gifts or getting nuts deep in a procession of wenches, but mainly because he acts like a prick. For instance, in the second episode, on discovering he's finally fathered a son, he uses it as an opportunity to outboast the Almighty.
I have a son! Ha! I have a son, God! Can you hear me? I have a son!
Yeah, haha, and I have a shoe, God. I have a shoe. Maybe things will improve as the series goes on, but for now, who really wants to watch a show about a shallow, self-centred, petulant arsehole with delusions of grandeur?
Is it? That's about all we got time for this week, yeah? Next time, we're making our own ruthless elimination show and that, yeah? You get me? It'll be sick.
When you hear them